Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my show. Okay, we have a very, very fun show today, I think. As you know, I don't know the questions, but I really would love people that can relate to my show to call in at 888-994-4995. And before I go any further, I have a very special guest sitting in the audience here, yes, from Lights in the Night.
That's great.
Russ Johnson, okay. So I'm glad you came in today. I think you're going to enjoy the topic.
Okay, great.
All right.
I'm not a special guest, only Russ.
Well, and your name is? No, and also Steve. I'm sorry, and Freddie and Dawn. I have to,
And what planet are you from?
please give a shout out to everybody sitting in the audience here. Okay, so on with the show.
I wanted to ask a question before we get started on the questions. So Spielberg is coming out with a new movie.
Yeah.
In June, Steve?
June.
Which is called Disclosure.
Disclosure.
Yes.
And a lot of people have said that he's been trying forever to send a message.
Oh, come on. He's
with the
been
movie.
18 pictures now on 8.
But they all have to do with this kind of subject matter.
I know.
And the question I have for all of you is simply, why did he call it number one Disclosure, which I guess is because it's the year Disclosure.
My website is Project Disclosure.
Now, when was the last time Steven Spielberg made a movie?
Well, actually, it's funny because just before when I saw his name, I did not know the movie was coming out. And I said to you, Steve, right, this guy, he knows quite a bit. And then was thinking back on some of the movies that he actually had made. I believe he did E.T. originally from many years ago. And if you think over the years now, and finally, I think this is going to be an amazing movie, Disclosure. So, but the timing was very, for people that have been following my show, and I know you haven't been in the studio that much, Russ, to come out very often with the topic because I think it's very important today to let people know what's going on. So, and there you are, right in front of the Super Bowl last night comes Disclosure. But it was obviously his movie, but I would like to have added more to Disclosure.
Is it based on a book? Is there a book?
It's based on his information that he's been getting for the last 20 years.
So there is no book on this one, correct?
There are a lot of books out there.
No, I mean about this particular movie.
Well, I think they've been advertised. I think, do you know what, which is just coming to me too, I think they advertised it last night because it was going to be in front of millions and millions of people. So the timing on that was absolutely perfect. Even if they weren't sure what it's about, just the name Disclosure made a very big difference. It will be a topic of conversation, I'm sure, today.
Of course, they did show a picture of an alien ship.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the timing, and I think maybe we'll change the show a little bit. I'm not sure what the questions are, but I'm sure it'll somehow relate to Disclosure. Disclosure. You're here in the studio.
This gentleman here, do you really believe that there are aliens walking among us? Do you really believe that?
He's my husband. He'll know.
I absolutely believe. I might not have believed it years ago. But after being with Sally since 2022, everything that she has taught me, leads to the fact that there has to be.
Okay, but there are a lot of people like you before the 2022 who have a lot of doubts and fears and apprehensions. They don't believe it yet.
Yes, I think, though, many more people, Russ, are beginning to open up much more to
slowly.
this, which they may have called just a story, is becoming a little more reality, right? So I think now is the time, and I think what better than to talk about these things to make people a little bit more aware. I'm sure many of my listeners that have been following my show they won't be surprised about the topic, but there are many people out there that are still saying, well, I don't know, like, give me proof. So hopefully they're going to give us proof. Yeah.
Did she give you proof?
Yes. You saw me.
Yes.
She took you for a ride on the ship?
No, but I
No,
kind
he
of brought
saw
her
me.
down from an abduction that was happening.
He actually saw me.
Oh.
She was paralyzed actually, and it took me 2 or 3 minutes to get her back
Oh, okay.
to normal.
Okay.
So that-
Whatever normal is.
I haven't been normal for a long time. Yeah, so that was, I think these things happen for a reason too. It's not coincidental that he happened to see that.
Yeah,
You know, because,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, all through my life, I wondered about it. And of course, then there were movies from War of the Worlds to Close Encounters.
Sure.
A number of movies
Chameleon,
that really makes you want to think.
Right.
And, if you're open to things, then things start to make sense.
So you relatively new to come into the awareness that it is a fact or could really be a fact,
Yeah,
right?
Sally could not be telling me the things that she has told me if it wasn't a fact.
Okay.
And I was relating that to you, Russ, actually, the other day, not to go too much into the topic, but some of the things that you were talking about, which you did talk about on your show, me, as I was listening, as I was sitting in the audience there when you had your show, were some of the topics that not too many people would even know what we were talking about. But I had told Steve quite a little bit
I
about
see.
some of what we had talked
I
about,
see.
and I said, how would that not be true if you're actually talking about some of the things that I talk about to him, which a lot of people, they may know a little, but they don't really know at depth what that subject was about. And to him, that was validation, because I could have been making everything that I'm talking about up because some of it sounds so far-fetched. But here you are sitting in the studio talking about the exact same things that I was talking about. Well, if you know anybody that would know this, how do they have the same information that we have if it's not a factual thing, right? So it was important, I think, for Steve to begin to realize that there is so much more going on in this world that we don't know, we don't openly talk about, basically. Did that all make sense? I think so.
Yes, because there are people who don't believe they walk among us.
Right.
Just spend a day or a week in the studio with Sally and Russ and Steve and Freddie and see actually what's going on here.
No coincidence is correct. So,
But Freddie, good question for Freddie. 15 years ago, we were doing programs like this on your WWNN. How do you, and I backed off because I just felt that most people weren't ready 15 years ago. How do you look at it now, Freddie? What do you think?
Well, it's funny how I look at it now. Unlike back then. Back then, I thought you guys were all crazy.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I thought that the hysteria had reached the point that people were looking for something to talk about. And then that month that you started the program, the Sci-Fi Channel was launched.
Mm-hmm.
The alien part of it was launched that particular week because you and I got together and said, look at this, somebody must be listening.
Mm-hmm.
And the more now that we have talked to people, the more people have come forward, the more the experiences have been shared. There's just too much of it happening at one time to say, well, this is an isolated incident. You can't get that anymore. There has to be some kind of reasoning for at the end of this thing. And now this movie's coming out. I just read it's called it's talking about some kind of signal that's being reached. And I know that I belong to the NASA newsletter, and they talk about receiving signals, and they don't have any answer for it. NASA has just run out of excuses. They don't know, and they're simply saying, we don't know.
see, I think what's happening is there's a lot of information coming out there now, and a lot of this has been a cover-up, absolutely a cover-up. And I think mainly people are they're a little, I think we're ready definitely for some sort of disclosure. But one of the first things, other than being shocked with all this information, suddenly it's there, is that why did they keep it from us? So they've got to, I feel that they're working on something to say about why it's been so secret since the 40s, correct, Russ? And that's also a problem. Not only the disclosure, it's a problem of why haven't we been told about all this, correct?
Well, boy, that's a big one. I think I think the answer to that would be in Greer's website. Stephen Greer.
Right. Yeah,
He's-
I know who he is.
Okay, he's been working on this since '93.
Right.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But they've got to come up with two topics here, right?
Ooh.
They've got to come up with the topic of disclosure and show people what's been going on and why has
But
it
he-
been such a big cover-up.
But he
So-
talks about it on
He
his
does,
website.
yeah. But
Yes.
that's only people that would know who he was. I know who he is, and I've listened to him, as you have too. But if you think about the amount of people that will suddenly see that this is real, they don't know the things that people have been talking about over the years, and that maybe, I'm sure it will be some sort of a problem. But the main thing is that they come out and they admit that this has been going on for years and years. There are people amongst us. So
Well, the congressional hearings.
yeah,
talked
they
about
did,
that,
yes,
okay.
which was
Yeah,
very
David
good.
Grush
But
and-
that's not even really talked about. When you watch the TV, not even too many
But
people
it's-
even know
it's-
that.
It's a beginning.
It's a beginning.
It's a
yeah,
small
it's a
steps and
beginning.
important.
It's a beginning.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, Russ, what year was the War of the Worlds on the radio?
1938.
Now, in 1938, they put out that aliens had been found on this planet, and they did it to see what would happen. People killed themselves. People jumped out of planes. They jumped out of
they were-
buildings.
Yeah,
they-
I
they were
agree.
taken back.
They
Well, they-
definitely have
to
to
be
be.
but there's your answer. I don't think that
But-
to tell the public
I agree.
and be transparent is going to be healthy
But
for a lot of
what-
people.
But my question here is, and they're doing it now, I mean, many movies now, as this one's coming out, what if they suddenly openly appeared? So many people, if they had no idea, would have heart attacks, would be doing the same thing. So they've got
Maybe
to
they
do a
have
gentle
appeared.
disclosure.
You meant Russ?
What
Right.
was that?
Maybe they have appeared.
Well, they have. No, I know
They
that.
are
But we
here.
know that. But
I
what
mean, there are
about the
certain
most of the
us-
population that doesn't know
Well,
it?
there's certain us around us,
Yes.
which if you see the trailer, I just looked at the trailer. It's really strange. There's no reason that they're not here, and I look at him.
Okay.
Maybe he's one of it.
Well,
Maybe
You
it is
actually
here.
have three
I'm
aliens
in a good
sitting.
program.
There are three of us.
I have been abducted a few times.
And there's three of us in the room here.
And they
Now,
walk
who
among
would-
us.
They are among us in the right
But we
here
are-
in the
But
studio.
basically, we are aliens because
Yes.
we are the people that they made and put on the planet. We are the experiment. It's like the Truman Show. They're looking at us and watching us each and every day. We like in a dish, watch,
To make
rats.
a
I
joke
asked
of-
Freddie that the other day. I said, "Do you ever think that maybe we're a social experiment
We
placed
are.
here
We are.
by
We
the
are.
aliens to see how kind we can be to each other,
Yeah.
or how
Excellent.
nasty and how much hate we can actually show each other?"
But we've gone.
You think this
oh,
is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
but
that's
they're
it.
watching
That's
us.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I
They're
think we're in the
definitely-
hate phase.
Maybe that's true.
telling
Maybe
you.
To
we
me-
are a psychological experiment. But
Very
then why
possible.
do we always pronounce ourselves as they sent? Why don't we ever say
Well, I hope they weren't watching
We.
the Super Bowl too intently yesterday because they're going, what in the world are they doing? We better go back up where we came from.
I mean, the bottom line here is definition and perspective, correct?
Yes.
So it depends on what you want to see. But I think that if the news was ever let out, you would get a whole bunch of people that would become complete maniacs and not know what to do with this. Or maybe it triggers people that have been put on the planet to act a certain way. It could be irrational. It could be all sorts of things going on.
Well, there's many, I mean, they've been trying to talk to us for so long, but now, because the world itself, which we have talked about, I know on my show, and obviously you know about this, that the world is shifting. There's a new whole thing happening here that people are becoming more and more aware of things. So I think we had to get to this time to be able to be fair to the people that have kept it, out of our reach.
Well, there's Russ, you explain it. In the North Pole, you're not allowed to dig down. You're not allowed to go beneath the ice. There's a lot of you're not supposed to, and this is supposed to be an agreement with every country on the planet, because something obviously has got to be in the polar caps. And
In Antarctica, actually.
well, what's happening is if you know that, if you know you're not supposed to go down there for whatever reason, then obviously the question is why has everybody, all the countries agreed, heads of states agreed to do this?
Very easy. It's really, listen. So, it's the Secret Space Force, the dark side, if you will, the Draco, have been running this whole deal for thousands of years. This is their planet, and so the question is now, can the malevolent or benevolent forces override the benevolent forces? That's the question. She said the good and the bad. It's like in Ephesians 6:12, the principalities. There's evil in the universe and there's good in the universe. On all planets, from what I understand, and there are trillions of planets out there in galaxies, and so here we are. But the thing that spiritually we got to talk about is where are we going to end up in terms of ethic and moral principles as we deal with one another. But basically, on the program the other day, I said love is the answer.
Love is the answer. Have you been? I know.
So that's where it's leaning towards. And even when you talk about the law of one, for people who understand the law of one, beyond the Bible and all that stuff, it talks about what are we going to do with each other? How are we going to treat each other? How are we going to be nice and kind and caring and cooperative and have a lot of consensus in terms of how we do things? That's the bottom line.
Just to also, which I've been watching, because I've been watching, I do mention Gaia, or we'll say YouTube quite a lot, but I found a very, very, very interesting program, which you probably have heard, the TLS. It's the light system. It was just, there are so many people, not to go into the whole thing, but I was absolutely, it was nothing that I didn't know, but it did come out with a few things of how they are working behind the scenes to help this world. And basically, I think the topic for this really is how do we help this world? But a lot of people are behind helping, and there's organizations, but this particular one, there are thousands of chapters, as they call themselves, around the world. So on a lighter note, we are getting a lot of help.
So if they're here to help us, but isn't it also true that they came to Earth originally for our natural resources to help them?
I truly believe, yes, because we've gone over the story a little bit, but I think it even goes back even further from when they first came down here. But yes, we're here, but they are, I think, really, maybe I'm a little different to a lot of people, but I truly believe there are some that are not helping us, obviously, and we know about that. But I think the majority of people, are not to scare people too, but this is a good thing, are here to help us. Because if we don't get it, they're also going to help. It's not going to help them either, because if our Earth suddenly goes up, there's a nuclear bomb or something, that's going to affect them too. They're here, well, we are them, actually. They're coming, so, which I know, it's great to talk with you, Russ, because a lot of what I say, people just look at me, but I know that you relate, and there are many people, as Freddie and Dawn, and you do too today, but so many people just think we're just talking, not real.
I'm just trying to relate.
I think people don't understand because they think the aliens are going to be green and these great big beings that, like they saw down at Bayfront Park in Miami.
Yeah, nobody ever talked about that though, Dawn. They were there. They were there in
the mall.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Yeah, but if you look at where they were, the ball in Miami when they showed up there, when you do the coordinates, the longitude and latitude, and reverse that where that mall is, it goes right to Antarctica.
Which we just brought up, yeah. But it's so much behind the scenes.
So it was a mistake in a sense.
They got confused.
What they missed?
I think, we'll have a few questions to make. I think it's on this subject, but I know you have some questions on
That's
that.
Interesting. So they switched the longitude and latitude and ended up in Miami.
Yeah, but we wouldn't.
But if you reverse
I kind of know what you're talking about.
Was that
It's making you nervous, Sally.
Was that the governor?
No,
that
it's
did
not
that?
making me nervous.
The
actually.
governor did that?
It's
DeSantis
not.
did that? Reversed it? All right, let's get some questions.
Yeah, we'll get some questions in case we get some viewers calling in saying, what?
But your show on Friday was fascinating when he talked about, or your guest talked about, Jesus being part alien.
Yeah, well, absolutely, yeah.
I didn't hear the show, but I certainly go along with that.
You could go along with that
I think
also.
you'll get some pushback on that.
Well, they're going to get pushback on the truth anyway because people are not accustomed to the truth. They're accustomed to Jerry Springer and all that kind of crap. But so, they have to get used to it.
I think this is
it says the truth crushed, the earth will rise again. Come on, you're not going to hide it forever. But they've been hiding it from us. We've been deceived. We've been fooled. We've been bamboozled. So, but that's going to all change now. So I'm glad to be here at this time.
And I'm glad to have you as my guest, Russ, because I do relate with you.
At 90 years old, I'm glad to
Now
be
he's
here.
not.
This-
90.
91.
You seem to get younger by the
91.
minute.
91. Can you
90,
believe
Next
it?
month.
91, 90.
91.
You gotta love it though.
I'm not quite ready to come out with my age on camera.
Well, it's no different, Steve. Like if I were to say you're an alien, you would say,
He could
There
be.
is a possibility.
Of course.
so Jesus wouldn't mind it. You can call him whatever you want.
I just said not pushback from me. I said, you know,
This is why.
But-
This is exactly why transparency is having a hard time being
Exactly.
given the information.
yeah,
because
yeah.
the truth sometimes makes people nuts.
Okay, let's
Interesting.
get to questions.
All right. We decided the topic for today was lucid dreams and dreams.
Okay.
And I want you to explain before we get into it the difference between a lucid dream. Now I'm thinking aliens might have part of the lucid dreams and dreams.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, and actually I don't usually pick, well, I pick topics, but I don't know the questions that are going to be asked of me, is that we have lucid dreams and we have dreams. And my way of, I guess there's many ways to answer this, and we had checked on something to see what AI would say about that, which I don't usually do before my show, but they said there's a difference with when you're dreaming, and a lucid dream is when you actually know you're dreaming the dream. But that kind of makes sense, but there is, on the spiritual side of that, there is much more to a lucid dream. My first thing that comes to my mind is you have a dream, you forget it. You can't remember. You might remember for the second that you wake up. However, a lucid dream stays with you. That's my experience, because I was in my dream, and my very first lucid dream would be when I was given that message to go and draw some drawings. I saw the whole street, I saw the person sitting there, and I didn't know what had happened to me, but 20 years later, I still remember that dream, plus many, many more that happened after that. But that was my very first one. So my explanation of a lucid dream is that you are actually in the dream, because the following day I had this dream, didn't know where I was, but yes, remembered every detail of it, and I was told to draw, which I had never done in my life, being able to draw. And Aldo, everybody knows who he is by now, taps me on the shoulder. I did not know this man, and proceeds to tell me, he said, do you know where you were last night? Well, my dream was very vivid to me, and I had no idea what had happened to me. But he proceeded to tell me my whole dream. So in other words, I'm meeting a stranger at that point, comes to my life and tells me what I dreamt last night. That is a lucid dream, because I wasn't the only one in it. There were other people in it that also could remember my dream.
So the dream of you being abducted, lucid dream or a dream?
That's real, but I'm dreaming. To me, that's a very good question, because I think there's a difference between, well, one is an abduction and one is a lucid dream. But I like difficult questions, that's okay. The lucid dream is you're taking part in both of them. That's
Okay.
what might just be told to say. You actually take part in both of them. I would not be, I think anybody that's had what, let's call it an out-of-body experience, and I told you this the other day, Steve, anybody that's experienced even one or two, come back from that, they are never the same. There is always something changes in you. You may not even remember some of it, but you know that you had an experience that wasn't normal, that you would have necessarily, and be able to remember it if it's just been a regular dream. So you do change, you change. So that's my explanation of what happened to me. And of course I went on to have many, many more, plus being abducted too, which I don't mind talking about today at all.
So here's a question from Elena in Miami. I had a dream where my grandmother who passed away hugged me and told me everything would be okay. Was that a visitation or my mind coping with grief or a dream?
No, well, I believe that was a visitation, yes, because the fact that the key to this, understanding maybe a little bit more that you're not sure if it was a lucid dream or a dream, is that your memory doesn't fade from the lucid dream. I remember 18, 20 years ago, 16 years ago, all my travels that I've had. So you're actually in a different place, because there is an astral plane, which we all visit, but we don't know we're there. So a dream fades, a lucid dream usually doesn't. If you'll remember it when you wake up, and if you don't, well, I happen to write mine down at that point, but usually you can remember it for quite a long time afterwards. So there's definitely a difference between the two. One is coming from your subconscious anyway.
Why do these dreams feel more vivid and emotional than the others?
Because they're real.
Because it happens.
It happens, yes. Because you can start talking about a dream. You can talk maybe to somebody the moment you wake up and say, this is what I dreamt. Oh, I can't remember, right? That happens many times. As you wake up, you'll remember a subconscious dream. But with a lucid dream, or you've actually projected yourself somewhere, you can go on and on and on talking about it, and the emotions are there because you've actually felt those emotions in you.
So in other words, a lucid dream, you're aware that the dream is happening, and you can in some way gain control of that dream, and you're aware that you're dreaming?
Yes, you can gain control, because when you astral project or out of your body, actually, and I learned this too, is that you can direct yourself to certain places. Just because you're flying, it doesn't mean to say that you don't have control over that. I was told that by Aldo too. When I started doing that, he says you can direct where you want to go. One thing that he did warn me, though, is not to travel around the neighborhood and look in people's homes. So I took note of that, and I said, well, I don't want to look in someone's house, but let me go somewhere else. And of course, I traveled to planets.
All right, so here's a question from Ryan in Denver, Colorado. When I lucid dream, I try to fly, and I can. Does flying in dreams have a deeper meaning spiritually or energetically?
Yeah, I like that question, coming on top of the topic that we were just discussing.
Right.
It really goes on, continues that. A flying dream is what we would call astral projecting yourself somewhere. But of course, in the beginning, I didn't know what was happening, so I also said I was flying around. But that, you can control it. The other part of that question, I was sorry, I can't remember.
Does it have a deeper meaning spiritually or energetically?
Yes, it certainly does, because once you've experienced that type of experience, as I said before, it does something to your psyche. You can't come back to this world and look at it exactly. It doesn't always happen all at once, but you start to see and hear things that you didn't even know before that you had. I became psychic through that. I didn't know that, but I'm suddenly getting messages because something changes. It opens up it actually, what it is, it broadens your, hello, bye-bye, I'm sorry. Your consciousness, you're expanding, that's the word I'm looking for. You're expanding your consciousness. And for anybody that is on this path, this is a very important thing. And you find that synchronicity is happening so much more. It's not coincidence, it's synchronicity.
So do flying dreams indicate astral travel?
Yes, in my case, absolutely. I mean, someone could have a dream. They might have seen an aeroplane, let's see, or a movie with somebody flying. That might be coming from your subconscious. So I can't say all the time, but mainly yes, because you feel, you know, you're traveling. I felt vibrational energy. I was seeing people. I was talking to people. It was very real that I was doing that. Whereas a dream, if you're just having from your subconscious, again, you're not going to remember every aspect of that. You might have seen a movie with like Superman was flying. So there's a distinct difference.
Have you ever flown in a dream? Russ?
My memory is blocked.
I love him.
Yeah, but
He's still a student. He's just learning.
I'm a student, that's all.
But you know that, Russ, because I think, you know, they have ways of blocking our memory. Mine was blocked till I was in my 60s.
The estimate is, just in the United States alone, 8 million people have been abducted.
Yes,
for
that's
various reasons.
That's
But
true.
1/10 of 1% can remember anything at all. They block your memory. It's easy because your mind is a frequency, and they change the frequency. The rest is history. I'm not talking about just the aliens, the real aliens, the Nordics, the tall whites, the Palladians, and the blue avians, and all that. But I'm talking also about the government of the United States has a secret space force that they practice. They build machines, and they also create people who are alien. The combination of the two.
Sally, you've drawn these machines?
Well, that's another thing that was proof to me, because I was drawing rocket ships and I was drawing space stations. I knew nothing about this, and yet I'm scribbling shortly after all this is happening, because I did become an artist after all this. So I'm drawing all these things that as other things from previous lives. How, if my memory was, well, I probably did that. I blocked from previous lives because I had apparently had enough from my last life. I didn't want to continue, but it was still there. So I opened up through artwork that I saw a lot of these things. And actually, from the very beginning, a lot of my drawings were out of space, you know, drawing the rocket ships and apparently aliens, which even to today, just recently, I looked at my artwork that I had done, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is what I've been seeing. It doesn't even me that was drawing this. I didn't realize what I was drawing. I told you that the other day, Steve.
Yeah, so in other words,
these big eyes. A lot of my artwork has these
Yes.
big eyes. I didn't realize.
It does.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, you want to take a commercial break?
Yes, we'll see you back on the other side of this show, not on the other side.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to draw a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com, or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show. Okay, welcome back to my show. Interesting. It's a little different. We don't normally stay on this theme that much, but it's very interesting. How could we not, with you sitting here in the audience?
But it's so much out there. I mean, Jesus, they got the James Webb Telescope just found another 1,000 planets out there. So I'm saying, and they also discovered that the universe is still expanding. So
It continues, it expands.
Yeah, and you got, when you talk about 1 or 2 or 3 different aliens, the reptilians, the grays, the Nordics, the tall whites, whatever, the blue avians, you got thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of different species out there. So we'll get to interface with them when they come here and walk among us.
I heard that they are going to take a trip around the moon and come back, and there's a reason they're doing it. And the next trip after that, they are going to try to build on the moon on the southern hemisphere, on the South Pole. And the reason they're doing it is because they found water, they found ice, which can be turned into fuel, and then the next voyage will be to Mars.
Can I, not to interrupt that because it's interesting, but I think Russ will know what I'm talking about.
They've been on the moon.
They've been on the moon for thousands of years, and he took the words out of my mouth. That's a very good example. Now, I don't expect, you don't have to believe that.
And all the rest of the planet.
But how in the world do we both know the same thing?
And according to other scientists, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he says, and other people who are astrophysicists, they say there's about 40 planets in this segment of the galaxy, and not just 4 or 5, Pluto and all that stuff. It's 40 different planets around here. But we're not entitled to that information because they don't give it to you at Morehouse or Princeton or Yale. It's all.
They'll give you what you want to know because the people that are giving it out to us.
Again, we are like the Truman Show. We're in a cul-de-sac. We're in a small little hub of information, and BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, they tell us what to read and they tell us what to think, and they got ABC and NBC and CBS and CNN News and what all that's limited. They tell us what to think, but it's bigger than that. But one day we'll find out that it's bigger than that.
So why are we become the beacons? Why is Steve?
Huh?
Why are we become the beacons? Steve is.
Why what?
The beacons.
A beacon of light?
A beacon. I don't know. Beacon
We're
is
an
like
experiment.
There's got to be. But why all the experimenting? If they placed it you here, and they know what's going on.
No, I tell you, I've got the answer to that, because we have free will. And they can only interfere with us as much as they're able. We also have to, as having free will, we have to give them permission.
Well, yeah. We do have free will, and that's really
basically why they're not intervening.
Not when they take you in your sleep. Not when
I know, I understand.
But
Yeah,
did that
that's-
happen to you? The same time it happened to Sally?
But listen.
You know, Freddie, what happened.
Freddie, the other piece of it is that your soul. Now you just operating in a body right here. This is a play thing, but your soul before it came to this planet and evolved, you made decisions to come here at this time.
So I decided to come here and take this body.
Absolutely. You decided before you got here, before you came through the fallopian tube. Yes, you did.
Dawn, any more questions?
I just find it fascinating still that you and Freddie had the same dream, and Steve and Linda had to get you both back at the same time,
That's true.
of wherever
true,
you were
Freddie.
both going.
But you see, you know that.
And
You know
there's
what
the helpful
happened to
kind.
you. You know that, Freddie.
I-
We were
I
both
know-
taken at the
I
same time,
know
Freddie
that
and I.
had a certain dream. I don't know that you and I had the same dream at the same time.
I don't believe it was the same time, but coming into the studio the next day, just to let people know what happened, I told Dawn the story of what happened to me the night before, and we have proof because Steve couldn't wake me up. I was paralyzed. I was obviously somewhere. So I came in and I started to tell you the same story, and how the first time I was scared, that I started, help me, as much as I could get the words out. Dawn said to me, go and talk to Freddie. I then proceeded to tell Freddie what happened to him. But guess what? The same thing had happened to Freddie that night.
And let me ask you, have you ever had that dream again?
Not that particular dream. I've had dreams, yes, because you
Where
saw me
needed help to
paralyzed.
Get out of it?
Where what?
You needed help to get out of it?
No, that was accidental that Steve happened to come into the room and see me like that. Because I
Imagine if
couldn't-
Steve had been away.
Have you
Well, it wouldn't have mattered. I'd
any
still
dreams
come
like that
back.
since then?
You still come
Only
back.
that
No,
one time.
one other time you saw me paralyzed.
They said
But
the game is that before you incarnated into the body that you are, your spirit decided it would come to
That's
this
correct.
earth plane at this time.
There are no
So-
coincidences.
You could be a 12th degree master, in the universe in terms of vibratory energy, but you decided to come down here and experiment to see what this is all about. So this is a play. This is a game.
So I picked this.
You picked
Yeah,
it.
absolutely, and I
We all
concur
picked
with
it.
her.
Yes, we all picked.
We
And
all
we all
picked-
picked it that we all would come and talk to each other down here and play this little game
And we all
about disclosure.
Russ, going one step
And we
further.
know much better. We see one book I love. Here's watch this concept. Very
We'll get some
important.
questions.
If you look at the book, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, he wrote it in 1903, and I just go to very briefly. He says in the beginning, "Mind is the master power that Boson makes, and every mind in his mind." So you take what you think about, you bring about. See, thoughts are things. Nobody told us that. Nobody told us we are creators, and whether we can create magnificent wealth and things that happen on the earth. Jesus, before he left, was that John 15:12? He says, "All the things I do, and you can do it more, and much more you will do before you leave." So we have the power to heal. We have the power to move mountains. We have the power to walk on water. We have that power. But we've been dumbed down because they stop us from showing with through the pineal gland and through the food we eat.
Okay.
But we have the
Dawn.
power to do a lot of things.
All right, so here's a question from Carlos from San Diego. See
That
about
was
this one.
perfect.
I've had dreams where I'm looking down at my body sleeping. Is that a lucid dream or is it astral projecting?
Well, if she's looking down at her body, she's outside of her body because you're not going to see yourself in a dream that
So
way.
this could be like you're being abducted and you're didn't you have that?
Well, yes, Dawn. Freddie knows, but he just doesn't know that he knows, but he does know that he knows.
Have you ever had that happen to you, Russell, where you're like an out-of-body experience when you're dreaming?
I don't
You don't remember?
any of
Making
that.
him
I don't
tongue-tied.
remember.
I
I'm
think-
blank on all that
yeah.
stuff. And talking about astral projections and telepathy and remote viewing, mine is blank. They blank me.
See, I
they,
was,
They let you guys remember all that.
but
I
I
don't
didn't,
remember any of that
Russ.
stuff.
I can absolutely understand what you're saying because I only started to realize this when someone came into my life, but he never came into my life until I was ready.
Right.
That was Aldo.
Aldo.
He knew me a year before. I still knew all these things, but I didn't know that I knew. I was lucky enough to have someone tell me that had watched me and knew that time was ready for me
When
to
you
talk.
sit down with one of them who really knows how to think and manifest things, they say, "You think this is real? You think this is real? You think it's not? It's a pretend. We are imagining all of this."
This is the blue pill of the red pill theory.
But we have to
sorry.
do a show. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but maybe we'll do a whole show on that because the audience is probably wondering what are they talking about, and I do understand that.
it's-
So
I'm gonna ask
we-
the quiet guy in the room, Steve. You ever had an out-of-body experience where you're looking down?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because the other night I had a dream, at least I think it was a dream, that I knew I was in. So I think that's partially what you're saying. I was present in that dream.
Right.
So it was a very lucid dream, or maybe it was,
And I have to say that's the very first time that you've actually ever said that to me. We've talked a lot, and a lot of when you talk to, you've become much more aware of things. Now,
That's
it
true.
may not have been the first time, but it was the first time that you were aware that happened.
Aren't
to
we
you.
present in all our dreams?
Well, yes, because we're making the dream. So a lot
I think
comes
I'm in all of my dreams
But-
doing whatever I'm doing.
in answer to that too is that a dream, you can have a dream, which we were just saying, that you've seen a program on television, and then you can dream about that. So you're present because you're dreaming. We're in a dream, as you were saying. We
We're
are
in
in
a
a
dream.
dream, but it's a touchy subject to talk about when people don't really go that
It's
far
hard to
into.
believe. It's hard because we've
when
been
it-
programmed badly. That's all.
And when it's but
We've been
What about
programmed
if you're
badly.
in a dream, like the one you got me up there? Okay, there I'm witnessing a dream. I'm looking down.
right.
But what about when you have third person? That you know somehow you're in this, but you're not there. But somehow you can witness this. I'm looking at this right now, and this becomes the dream. But I'm not in it.
But you're not. But you're dreaming it.
I'm
so
seeing it.
you're seeing it. But
So
then,
am I dreaming, or is it?
well, it could be either a lucid or just a dream. If that dream is becoming real to you, I guess the best way to really look at this is if when you wake up and that seemed very real, or you can remember, which we were just talking about, then I believe that yes, you are in it. But we also daydream, we dream. But to go one step further, we're making all this happening. It's imagination. A lot of this comes down to imagination, to simplify it
So
a
it
little
has
bit.
no significance.
Yeah, no, it has a significance.
Not if it's imagination.
Not imagination, yes, but everything is imagination,
Well,
Freddie,
then
you
it has no
agreed?
significance.
Everything. It all comes to imagination. I imagine, what did I say? I need to really talk to Russ. Manufacture,
Well,
you came here.
We have to learn. Look, there's a positive principles of self-development that we even beginning to study, right? People like Les Brown and Mark Victor Hansen and people who have been out there, John Maxwell and all that, Bob Proctor. We got to start there first to know what the possibilities of the things that we can do with a little bit of restrictions that we have. But
But memory-
we're magnificent beings.
Memory does a lot of memory, I'm going to even say from past lives, comes into this lifetime. Because I can only generalize for myself what happened to me. I didn't know even about previous lifetimes, and yet when I was told to go and I had an idea, I had an open mind, but when I was told in my so-called dream to go and get some crayons and start to draw, the very, this was a dream to me. I didn't know where I was. Didn't understand all this. I'm drawing from past lives. Well, where does that memory come from? I had not seen these things. I draw actual buildings that were in history. Aldo I hadn't looked it up. I had no reason to look it up. But he said, go into the internet. You're going to see what you just drew. And it was from centuries ago. I didn't know that.
Yes, Sally was very fortunate to have Aldo come in her life.
When he did, Russ.
That's very rare.
And he knew me a year before and would not enter my life until I opened up. And he knew because he was in my astral projection.
Sometimes.
Then I got a question. I'm a mass murderer. You're telling me that I picked that one?
Yeah.
Yes, that's also which you'll know, Russ, too. Yes, because although there is no really, let's say there is good and bad, of course there is, and it goes on in this world, but there really isn't. This is hard to say. There really isn't good and bad, okay? Because if you're looking at something or you're in a dream, I could dream of something awful that I know I personally wouldn't do, but it's not bad in the dream because it's hard to explain that because we're in a dream, as you know, Russ, and we're manufacturing everything that's going on. So in that dream, if everything was all so pleasant, we're here to learn. We're here to learn.
Yeah,
we're here to teach our soul, our spirit. So if everything was all good and everything was going the way we want, what in the world are we learning? We're learning love, which is very important, but we're not learning the other side of that. It takes a lot, and you know, people have very hard lives. We all do in this, not everybody, but we don't escape hardship. Everybody here. I'll be very surprised.
This is a vast
So
universe.
it's a way
there's a lot of things, and there's so many constructs out there.
And it's a way
not
to
simple.
It's a way
not 1, 2,
to. I'm
3.
sorry, I'm losing it now. It's a way to learn. So whilst we may not like what we're doing, and there is such a thing as karma, it's a little different to how people, interpret karma. But if we haven't learned what we were meant to, or even what we chose to in this lifetime, we will come back. And we may skip a lifetime, but we will come back.
So as a murderer, you come back as a better murderer?
That's what I want. No. People come in to experience what they want to experience.
Right.
The best way to put it, right?
That's good.
So
That's a good way
what
to say it.
happens is my guides are telling me this. They come in and someone could say, well, why would you want, I don't want to glorify a mass murderer, so let's use something that is not against what we might do.
It's all in a big experiment.
But it's an experiment, as you say.
Yeah.
So that experiment, they'll tell us when we're on the other side, as you were referring to too.
She's
You
right.
know what? That might be a very difficult time in your life. I don't think you really need to learn that lesson that way because we're looking at it in a different way from when we're not here. But they'll say, no, I want to know what that feels like. So they'll come in. And I'm not excusing, we can talk Hitler or whoever, so please I don't want my audience to say.
Who are they talking to?
They're talking to their guides on the other side when we
so
go.
much.
We're talking to, I'll tell you who it is. We're talking to what we call our soul family.
Right,
When we're not here,
absolutely,
we talk with our soul
absolutely,
family. And that's not 1 or 2 people. That's usually a lot of people. A lot of our soul family doesn't always come into incarnate when we are like in this life.
that's
I've
true.
left them over there in their dimension.
They're here.
So when
They're
I
walking
come
among
when
us.
I come in and I'm coming to that very difficult part in
She's
my
right.
life, they're going to say, well, she's approaching that now. However, that word free will is very important. We have free will. I then need to, and this is very important for the audience to understand too, I talk to them, even if I don't understand who I'm talking to. Help me. How many people pray? Prayer is very, very important. It's a form of communication from the people
She's
from
right.
the other side of this.
Right, she's on
Now
target.
I have opened up my free will for that particular point. I know it's not talking about the mass murderer, but however, that was also a decision. Okay, so now let's say that I did something, I can't say a mass murderer, that's awful, but I did something I really didn't like and I
Sally.
thought that was wrong. Wait a minute.
Steve had something to say. Let him
Yeah,
say it.
yeah, but
Steve,
it's interrupting
what
my
do you
train
say?
of thought now. I go, all right, yes.
I'm sorry.
No, not you. but-
No, I think what might help you, Freddie, and everyone else understand what Russ and Sally have spoken about is where you're coming back as your soul is there, and you come back. I watched the Academy Award-winning animated movie Soul, and it dealt with this exact topic. I don't know if you saw that, Russ.
No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
But it's called Soul. It won the Academy Award about 6 or 7 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And it had how the souls are lining up and jumping in, to come back, and how they're prepared to come back, and come back as what. And it's very, very interesting. I think would be informative if you.
Yes, that's exactly what we were talking about, right? So we discuss, but the harder, and I think you'll agree with this too, Russ, the harder our lifetime is that we're really achieving more. So if we didn't have all these obstacles to overcome, we're learning, but we really need to learn, and eventually we will stop incarnating. But that I don't even want to go there, because we go to a different place.
So much.
There's
It's
so
right.
much. You can come back.
It's so.
And we go to different planets too, just to go back to where we
Sure.
were before. We don't always come back to Earth. We
Right,
go to
that's
other
true.
places, or we're from other places. What do you need to?
Why do we dream?
It opens up, and this is what they're telling me too, it will open up your imagination even more, because in a dream, you're going to do things that you don't necessarily think you can do here. That's really important. When you do that, but I did that in a dream, we're testing ourselves, and this is coming to me very much so right now. We test ourselves in dreams to know that we can do these things.
Yep.
We're just not opened up enough to do that.
Yeah,
But
we've been
programs like
dumbed
Russ, with you, with what you've learned from me,
we've
Steve,
been dumbed
and what
down.
we're discussing right now
been
is
dumbed
really
down.
important for the viewers to open up to things
Yeah,
that
true.
they think they can't, that's out of they're out of this world, basically. It's
That's
not.
true.
There is absolutely nothing
It's
that, and
so
I
much,
believe this,
so
that you
much.
cannot manifest. And you know what the key word is? Believe it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen.
Whatsoever things you believe in, you anything that you conceive and believe, you can achieve. That's simple.
And that is
But-
so important.
And it's hard
just-
to teach people that. because
Yeah, and that's why
we've
I
been
open
dumbed
up,
down so
Russ,
bad.
just to say
Yeah.
about what I do on the show.
Yeah.
I open up a lot. I'm
That's
helping
good. That's good.
myself.
We're all learning.
But
we're
not
students.
only do I help myself, I'm helping hopefully
Yeah,
other people.
true,
Yeah, maybe
true.
just 2 viewers
Right,
that
or
say, you know
one.
what, you really
Yeah,
helped me.
right.
But then it's like the dominoes effect. Those 2 viewers share
True.
this and talk to somebody else.
She's
It's
right,
really
she's on point.
important. So is there another
Elizabeth,
question?
listen, if you got to start doing your homework. At home, I got about 50 books out. I'm not a reader as I was once years ago when I used to read 8 hours a day. But anyway, the now you want to watch Gaia, you want to watch Cosmic Connections, George Norrie, Beyond Belief. You want to start watching all that stuff on
Secret
television.
Space Program.
Absolutely. It's more and more and more shows are coming out like this to educate us and to help us believe in ourselves and to help other people believe in themselves. So we're just beginning. All of this, it's really complicated and convoluted, but we'll get there.
But you
if
have
we
to
keep
start somewhere,
pushing.
Russ.
Huh?
And we have to all start somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So the
A
people who
Journey
write-
of 1,000 Miles
Yeah,
started the
yeah.
first step.
The people who write these books or produce these movies,
Yeah.
Where did they learn it? How did they get this knowledge, which apparently is true? How did they get this knowledge to bring to the world?
Well,
so-
they're the ones,
Some of them
they already knew it. but-
yeah, some of them come to this planet knowing it, and they, like for
Correct.
instance, next week if I have this lady on, Linda Jane Selena, she's absolutely phenomenal, and she'll tell you also. She would be able to answer all these
See,
serious
many people,
questions.
I mean,
You
many
got-
people,
You got
That's okay.
Bashar. I don't know whether you.
They won't know.
They don't know
they don't
Bashar.
know.
He's-
Oh, you do know Bashar. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
How about Elizabeth April? She's She's super. She started at 3 years old. She's about 28 now, and we got millions of people listening to her on an ongoing basis. So we were just beginning this whole process. But you got some sharp people out there.
But the good thing, Russ, is that
who are
we
coming.
are just beginning here on
right.
Earth.
At least we started.
But the
At
thing
least
is,
we
more and
wanted
more
to start,
people,
yeah.
because the world is shifting, to just bring it back into their own perspective here, the world is shifting a little bit, as
Yeah,
I had said
yeah.
before. So what we're
encouraged.
actually seeing now would be more acceptable than it was maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Because our consciousness is
Absolutely.
expanding more. And the
Absolutely.
more it expands, you see more and you hear more, and you want to tune into programs like I'm doing, like many that you're talking about, who are very advanced beings.
Yeah.
They came here for this time. Many kids or children that are coming in today came here to be in Earth this particular time.
Yeah, they got the crystal kids,
Because
and they got the indigo kids. They come in here to
They're-
raise our consciousness.
Now they
to
haven't.
help us.
There's more. They've been coming in for many years.
Yeah.
But right now, more and more are coming in to give us this message
Yeah.
that we're talking about now. So they're coming in with their memory intact.
How do you know that the information you're being given from other people is even justified?
Okay, I know that because, and that's a very good question, and a lot of people, even Steve, will be saying the same thing. Because why do we all give the same message if it isn't true? How do I know what Russ is talking about? I've only known you a few years, and we haven't seen each other that much, right? So everything that Russ is saying, and I don't mean this because I'm brilliant, I know it because I know it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yep,
about.
absolutely.
How would that happen if it wasn't
I know
factual?
it sounds difficult.
Hold on. You
Okay.
know it because you know it doesn't justify it.
No.
Doesn't make it real.
Okay, Freddie, how does every,
Steve's
let me,
question is more
See,
real.
but
asking how
but
to
Freddie,
somebody
Can
else-
I
I'm
explain?
glad you said that,
I
Freddie.
can
Hold-
explain. Yeah,
can
me
I, can I
too.
say
Yeah,
one
go
quick
ahead.
stuff? Freddie, I'm saying you that there are a lot of people with fear, doubts, and apprehensions, and then they're the naysayers. And it's okay, but because we all are here to learn and grow, develop,
Correct.
and expand. Like she's here to help us.
because
people
I,
like her,
like
so,
you
yeah.
and people like yourself,
It
if we
takes
don't
time. It
talk
takes
out,
time. That's why I backed away 15 years ago. People weren't ready then.
and I
But
totally,
not like they are now.
Russ, I
So
totally
I backed away. I said,
understand that.
I'm not going to get in the middle of that.
Because the more
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
years ago, I only came out, you heard on your
Right.
show
True.
that I had been abducted.
True.
Who in the world could I tell that 20
didn't believe
years
it. They
ago?
would- they wouldn't
never,
admit it.
ever would have believed
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
You saw that happen when I said that. But when I started to open up more, you kind of attract the people
yeah.
that you're
It's
taught because you're on a
improving. It's
different
improving.
you're on a different wavelength.
improving.
How did we meet? You
It's
just came
improving.
into the studio
Yeah,
and we
I
started.
met a person the other day. I'm shocked. I don't want to mention them here, but the knowledge they have, how they can manifest things, way beyond your imagination.
Even
But Jesus told us we could do it in John
better than him.
15:12.
Because
he
he
said, all the
came in-
things I do, you can do it more.
yeah.
And even in 15:16, he says, I've chosen you, you didn't choose me. And anointing you to go preach the gospel to the poor, to do good things in the world. But anyway, he was an alien.
Oh, I've got
He was
2
an alien.
minutes,
Go
Russ.
ahead.
I think
You
have you got time for one more quick question? or not?
Sure, we can do
Okay.
one more question. Lauren from Fort Lauderdale. Why do I always wake up at night right before something important happens in my dream? Am I blocking the message?
You are and you aren't, because you're waking up and you're remembering part of the dream. So you needed to have that memory when you woke up. But in your dream, I think you decided. Okay, it's a little bit of both. She's blocking the message, but she's still conscious of the message when she woke up. So now is the time to figure out what the message was. Maybe she wouldn't have remembered if she'd figured it out in her dream.
All right, so here's the
Well-
follow-up. Does spirit stop the dream intentionally for protection?
It can do that too, because we are there is our we protect ourselves too, even though we're not aware of it. There is a part of us that will do that. So yes, sometimes a dream, I have never met anybody that says that they were going to have an accident or they fall and they said they died. Think about that. How many people have noticed they die in their dream? You don't, you wake up. You're hitting the floor, you wake up.
Yeah.
That just came to me. Do you know
Interesting.
anyone that said,
Listen,
"Oh my God, I died in my
But
dream"?
I congratulate you for even trying. I really do. You've been trying, and you're very consistent.
Thank you.
So yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much,
Because
Russ.
a lot
That
of
means
people
a lot
just don't
to me.
believe it and they're confused.
thank
but that's
you.
just the way it is.
That means a lot
yeah.
to me. Thank
Well,
you.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, want to wrap it up,
Thank
Sally?
you. Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody. Tune in next week. Another exciting show. This
Nice
was
job.
exciting for sure. Believe it or not. Okay.
Believe it or not.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.